Hello, 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 our beautiful, beautiful friends. Welcome and thank you for being here. I am Hadia. Hadia Loving is my webpage. I am spiritual counselor, life coach, manifestation coach. I support you in creating the life that you want by saying no to what you don't want and yes to what you do want, and having awareness of who you are and what works for you, what doesn't, releasing what's been nurtured in your life and awakening your nurturing what is true for you. And I'm here with my beautiful friend Angela.
Hello.
Angela is also a coach, a shaman healer, spiritual counselor. We actually that's how we met. We went to the same school and we've been friends. How long has it been?
I laugh because you see this on a number of videos that every time I hear it, I still giggle because I just don't know.
We met
20 years, 30 years.
I know, I'm like, has it been 30 years? We met in like 1998. So I'm excited that Angela and I are doing this and we are good friends, and we do healing. I do what I do, she does what she does, and I invite you to reach out to both of us. There's no conflict and no, you'll benefit. So Angela, introduce yourself and what you do. And today we're going to talk about dreams and how dreams support your life, dreaming in your sleep state and your awake state. And we're going to share with you how it supported our lives from our own perspective and what we learned and the teachings, what we teach our clients. I have a little cough, so I might cough. Excuse me for that. And I have a Ricola in my mouth. That's what that is. So I'm taking care of myself and supporting myself, and I'm showing up here for you as well. Love you all. Angela, share with us. Who are you, my beautiful, beautiful friend?
Well, as you said, I'm also a life coach. I do biotuning, work with tuning forks, and I do different kinds of shamanic therapies, soul retrieval, cutting cords, a lot of things that actually fit into that realm, also fit very nicely into the dream conversation. A lot of people say that life is but a dream, and there's really not much difference between our sleeping dream and our waking dream. So from a shamanic perspective, I can subscribe to that.
Now I got to share with you all that Angela has been practicing journaling her dreams for years and years and years, and they've been one of the things that guide her. So I'm going to say she's a master at dream therapy and explaining and teaching. So I'm excited that we're doing this, especially that you've been practicing this for years. You've took it on as a spiritual practice, and it's been very, very useful for you, Angela. And
Yeah,
I practice dream state in the awakened perspective, and I'll talk about that. So it's a rich, deep subject, and there's a lot out there. So I invite you, if you're into it, research. And again, we're just going to share with you from our own practices, our own perspective, our own learning, and what works for us. And we're not going to talk about all the other stuff because there's tons of things. Like there's books on dream explaining, which I don't subscribe to. So do you and find out what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the basics, like the languaging and giving a little understanding of the beta, theta, beta, alpha, theta, and data states. Angela, I'd like to invite you to share all that with us, and we'll go on from here.
Sure. A lot of times when we're having these conversations, I know we do like to put a little scientific background into them. So this is for your information. And it is also a big part of a consciousness practice that I have right now. You know, as you said, Hadia, I've been, I went and looked in my closet to see with all the dream journals that I have, like what was the earliest state I could find where, you know, I literally started utilizing like just one book as a point of record keeping. And the earliest date that I found was 1994, but I've been very involved in examining my dreams, even in much earlier ages. So getting later into a more full-fledged understanding of dreaming, and then into understanding the different brainwave states and states of sleep has also been really useful. And I believe that we can cultivate more consciousness in our daytime when we cultivate more consciousness into our nighttime, and understanding how these different states, brainwave states and states of sleep work, really help us to utilize the special qualities of those states, and then to gain more consciousness because we are putting that into practice. So as you said, it's not a great acronym. Usually acronyms like spell out a sentence or something, but for me, I just remember BAT, you know, like a bat with wings, and then the letter D. So that is beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And we start out with the beta state, which is really a state of more active awareness. If I'm engaging as I am right now in a conversation with you and in a conversation with our viewers and our listeners, I'm in the beta state. My brain is focused on a task. And when I go to sleep at night, I can still be in beta, but as I'm, you know, getting into bed and trying to relax my mind, and I'm turning off the light, then we slip into a little bit lower state of beta. And from there, then we go into the alpha state, and that's more a state of non-arousal. You don't necessarily have to be laying in bed to be going into alpha. It can be times where you're strolling down a garden path and you're just so relaxed, or you're sitting and, you know, maybe you're in lotus position and you're intentionally, you know, trying to disengage your mind to go into a place of meditation. That's also considered the alpha state.
And then driving,
what, sweetie?
when we were talking before, you mentioned the driving. When you drive the same route every day, you get to your work and you're like, oh, I'm here already. So you're in that alpha state. You're consciously, but you're not present doing something.
Well, we get a little bit more into that state, like in theta.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and but you know, to your to what you were saying, we experience all of these states to a certain degree, whether we're awake or whether we're asleep.
Mhm.
So, you know, some people may have heard of theta healers, and they will take people through a process that is somewhat meditative and relaxing. And so that is, in some senses, the same thing that happens when we're daydreaming. I'm sure that is similar to states of, you know, hypnosis, which is more your specialty than mine. But we would go then from alpha. I wanted to also say, like, when you go from the beta state into the alpha state, now you're also starting to enter what we call the hypnagogic states. And so that is where, you know, some people call them hallucinations, but that is where the various kinds of dreaming may occur. That's where you may also even start to notice and can use it in your practice of gaining awareness of slipping into these different states. But that's where you might notice sometimes like a body, like it might kind of tweak or twitch or whatever, as you're starting to fall under, and it kind of jolts you, into a more alert awareness. Sometimes you might even, snore, kind of wake yourself out of a sleep when you hear that sound. All of these things are indications that you're starting to slide in, but you're not quite there yet. And people have different kinds of, hallucinatory and or dream experiences. So, for some people, it's all very visual. For some people, it could be auditory. And some people are fully engaged in the state of lucid dreaming, which is more the state of active dreaming. Anyways, so we would transition from alpha and at the start of alpha into the hypnagogic states. The next state then would be theta. And theta then is, if you are accessing it during your daytime, where you're going from your garden stroll or your meditation into a more enhanced kind of transcendental state. And that's also where I would say you can associate it with like a repetitive type of motion you might do, like if you're a runner and you get that runner high, or if you're driving in your car, down a freeway, kind of just looking at that line in the road for a long period of time, and in either one of those cases, maybe 5 minutes or 10 miles or whatever your, material world measurement is. And all of a sudden think like, oh, wow, like, where did those last 10 miles go? Or where have I been for 5 minutes? It seems like I was, downtown and now like that, I'm, in this suburban neighborhood. Like, I don't remember that. That is also what happens in the theta state. So we can put ourselves into that type of way of being when we're awake, but when we're asleep, then theta would also be associated with the REM state. So in the REM state, I think most people have heard of the rapid eye movement. Others can see that we're dreaming because our eyelids are fluttering. And the theta or the REM state, it kind of like toggles back and forth because the final state of sleep is called deep sleep, and that's the delta state. But the delta state is a dreamless sleep. You're really out. Your breathing will slow way down. But we as humans tend to have a 90-minute dreaming cycle. And what that looks like is about 45 minutes in, we'll have smaller like bites where we'll spend maybe 15 minutes in REM. And depending on how many hours of sleep we get, we might have a few more cycles or a few less cycles. But then something happens halfway through where it's more like 15 minutes in, then we have 45 full minutes of that dream state. And I know for myself, I think that's the time, perhaps, when I do wake up and I feel like I've been running a marathon all night long and I have like this dream that seems like it went on forever. For the most part, that is the time when I do bring back my greatest dream recall. But then there is a final state that isn't necessarily so much, what I would say is a different brainwave state, but it's just the final state as far as the states of sleep go, and it's called hypnopompic. So that's the time where you are really kind of graduating from sleep to waking, and that maybe you're one of those people that anticipates the alarm going off. And so it's that time between dreaming and waking. And that's a really good time to, as you're starting a dream practice, start to try to recall what happened during the night and, sort of repeat what you can remember, if it means, following your dream from the last thing to the beginning, or however your own mind and memory work. I will often kind of repeat to myself, oh, I was dreaming about this. I was dreaming about this. So that when I do wake up, then I can start journaling and I have access to that memory all day.
Thank you. That's a great example. So I want to jump into the value of dreaming, and I use dreaming in a space of supporting my healing process. When things get challenging in my life, my body would shut down and I would go into dream state, and I consciously use the dream state to heal. For most of us, dreaming is a healing space. So recently, my dog Happy, who is actually is my child, she passed away, and I've been having a lot of dreams about her. And some of the dreams, I'm like looking for her and calling her and trying to find her, and I would be crying in my dreams, and I'd wake up crying. So in my dream state, it's supporting me grieve her and grieve her loss. I mean, and they've been very vivid and very powerful. And also, like, I had a dream, this is like a horrifying one. And sometimes the dreams are horrifying and they're working out. Dreaming was helping me work out the devastation that I was going through losing Happy. So Happy is my dog who passed away. Like, I dreamed that I was pregnant with her, like literally with her. And then my body was aborting her. I was having like an abortion, not a medical one, but I was on my knees and she was coming out of my body. And most people call that miscarriage, but it felt like an abortion, like my body was rejecting her. And I was yelling and screaming, and I was like on my fours, and she literally, her body came out of my body, and you could see a little puppy, and I was screaming and yelling. And so I invite you to allow your dreams to help you heal what you're going through. And it has been really supportive, because I was very devastated by the loss of Happy. And in my dream state, it's been helping me out. And also, our dreams help us manifest things and create things. I've had dreams where I've seen myself traveling on water. And there'd be rocks and I'm traveling on water. And shortly after that, I like moved to Hawaii. And I'm like, okay, this is what that was meaning. It was guiding me that I'm gonna travel and move. And, I have to cross, literally, we have to cross the water to get to Hawaii from California. And, they were pleasant, fun dreams. And I'm like, oh, I'm going somewhere. and I don't know where it is. And so it's having that anticipation, that joy, that my life is going to shift and something else is coming through, and figuring out what that is. Would you like to share some of your experiences, Angela, or add on before I go into the waking dreams and all that?
Well, I mean, what you're saying about the way different dreams show up and speak to you, I mean, I think there's a lot to that. So, one dream clearly about, Happy is a very intense dream, while there's another dream that it seems like it's preparing you for a future, or it has like a prophetic quality. And there's so many different types of dreams that show up. And I do think, of course, when we lose somebody, or in this case, your beloved Happy, that is a traumatic process. But we can go through so many different types of healing and again, just incubate more awareness in dreams, no matter what types they are. So I can't help but just think, and I don't necessarily have to get into the whole packet of it right now, but when I think of dreaming, one of the biggest, psychology proponents of it that people might have awareness of is Carl Jung. And so, whereas a lot of, I could even kind of back up and talk about Carl Jung and Freud, just they have together kind of pioneered something called the psychodynamic therapy. And it is so much of what we talk about in coaching. And so that has to do with the real world. And it has to do with some of the processes that might be coming through, one of those intense dreams like you had with Happy. And so what they say about that theory is that it's about all of these different voices inside that, they call them sub-personalities, but they're kind of struggling to know how to be together. They're kind of on different pages. They have different feelings and input. And so in coaching, we naturally talk about how we can recognize those different parts and modulate them to create harmony. And our dream time is doing the same thing. But what Carl Jung, being a little more esoteric, which is why I always loved him and was drawn to him, really brought that were new ideas at the time, were the ideas of the shadow and working with the archetypes in the dream. And if you don't know about dream archetypes through Carl Jung, some people may know Joseph Campbell. He actually did have association with Carl Jung, but he brought about, the idea of the hero's journey and looked at mythologies and the different stages that we see within those journeys, our personal journeys, the mythological journeys, and often the journeys of our dream time. And the journeys of our dream time are often us kind of combating with those different feelings. And so sometimes in the hero's journey, there's a nemesis, like an external outside dark figure that might approach you and initiate you to face your fears or to, call your power back and step into your fullness. But at the same time, we have to face our own internal darkness. So what is that part that doesn't know how to be without Happy, that is feeling a loss? And how can that carry you in your own life to the next phase? Sometimes we let go of something in order to gain something. So I think these intense dreams often speak to us in such a way. Sometimes it's an intense experience in life. And sometimes, it's not so much about anything that even applies to, obviously applies to our waking life, but it just comes across in a really creepy or scary way. And I often think those are the ones that are really asking or calling, us to action, to give it extra special attention. So, I just want to add that little bit about the shadow and the archetypes and the hero's rite of passage that each of us go through in our waking life and in our sleeping life. But they mirror each other. So we're often doing work in our sleep, as you said, that we're not able to process fully in our awake state.
Yeah, and like for me, when we learned about Gestalt dialogue with our dreams, excuse me, that was really, really powerful. Is, you know, giving a voice to every aspect of the dream and allowing that to be a guide. Like for example, a lot of people dream that they're in an elevator, and either the elevator is stuck or the elevator is going down too fast. And so it could be like, oh, I am the elevator and I am stuck, and I'm here to tell you that you feel you're stuck in your life right now and you need to do something, shift something so you can get yourself unstuck. Or if the elevator is going down too fast, it could be, I'm the elevator and I'm here to tell you that you feel that you're out of control, your life is out of control, and it's time for you to slow down. So doing dialogue with the different, I've done that for years, like dialoguing with the different aspects of the dream to help me understand what the dream is telling me and how it's supporting my life. So Gestalt is also he's one of the godfathers of therapy, and it's called Gestalt Dialogue, and you can look that up. And I do Gestalt Dialogue all the time, and I teach it to my clients, and it's really, really powerful, useful tool. It's not just useful in dreams. You can do the Gestalt Dialogue. You mentioned Carl Jung and the different archetypes and aspects. All of us have different patterns of ourselves, and doing Gestalt Dialogue with your inner child and the different patterns, it's very, very useful. Like I teach all my clients Gestalt Dialogue because it's extremely useful to get to know yourself and get to know what's going on with your subconscious mind and your psyche, and bring it to awareness so you can get in alignment with who you are. And the dream state helps us work this out in our sleep as well. So Gestalt Dialogue, for me, it's learning that there is other parts of me, and sometimes they're in competition. So it's using that modality to get myself in harmony towards my goals, towards my dreams, towards whatever I want to create and manifest in my life. So, Angela, share more with us about that.
Sure. Gestalt is really a powerful tool. That godfather of psychology is Fritz Perls. And I would definitely say, if you're starting a dream practice, that that's the most powerful way, if you're doing journaling or if you're recording your dreams, to track them. And I'm gonna maybe go backwards just a bit to tie in the archetypes, which is to say that, you had made a point, and then remind me if I forget. Anubis is here, giving me a little distraction off to the side of the couch. You had mentioned about, you aren't a big subscriber necessarily to, like, I believe you're referring to the collection of dream books,
Yes.
that have symbols. So, another thing that Carl Jung brought up was the idea of the collective conscious and the personal conscious. And what that means, and as it applies to dreams, it also applies to, again, our day life, is that, there's what we know in our awareness, which, if you imagine an iceberg, and it's sitting in the water, and you just see like this tip of it, and you assume that's all that there is. But there's so much more knowledge underneath of it. And sometimes we in our life and in our dreams are trying to make conscious what is still submerged. So, that is really the practice we're talking about whenever we talk about consciousness. And while there are these archetypes that emerge across all mythologies and across all cultures and times in a very similar way, it's fascinating to me because I love comparative religion. I love comparative mythology. I love to see, what people on one side of the planet said that is very similar to what people on the other side of the planet said. And in this way, we have archetypes that we all have in common. There's, the magical or the golden child. I mentioned the hero. There's the trickster, and then the nemesis figures. There's shapeshifters. There's all these different things. But what that looks like or what it means, as well as what some of your own personal dream symbols will mean, are going to be a little bit different. And sometimes, it might look like one thing, but if we start a dialogue with it and we get a little bit deeper under the surface, we, just like with the voices in our head that sometimes we don't like and we want to push down, it has information for us. We might find out if we dialogue with it that it's more of a friend to us than we realize. And when we do this, sometimes the things in dreams that are scary, we actually can dissolve what seems so scary about it because we get to a bigger, deeper truth. And that creates an integration of that part within our whole being. So just to put all those little pieces together. But I think I'll just launch into then, if you are creating a practice of becoming more conscious in your dreams. We always say everything in life is about cultivating awareness. So that is your very first step. And the very first thing, even if you don't remember all the brainwave states or what the different dream states mean, we can all just set an intention when we go to sleep, that if you don't remember your dreams, that you will remember a dream. Yes, baby.
Will you demonstrate that, Angela? Like specifically demonstrate what that actually looks like?
Say it again.
Will you demonstrate what setting an intention actually looks like for people?
Yeah. So I would say, what works for you as far as recording your dream may vary. You might want to have a journal, and I like that. I like the act of writing something down. It helps me to just bring, what's inside, outside in a very tangible way. So if I'm journaling and I'm setting an intention, it may not just be that I utilize that journal when I wake up and want to write my dream down. I may actually write in my dream journal, especially if it's my first time. My intention tonight is to remember a dream tonight. That could be, a very simple starting point if you're somebody who either doesn't have a tendency to recall your dreams, or if you're somebody who does on occasion, but you've had a dry dream spell. And you can also set an intention that's more specific. And, that might be considered an advanced intention, but, go for it your first time or any time. I might write down, today I had, I just didn't feel happy today, I don't know really what's affecting me. I don't know what it is that's going on, but I want to set a dream intention that an ally will meet with me and have a message for me about how to bring more joy into my day, or to resolve an issue that is still, under the water in my iceberg. It could also look like, I'm having, I don't know. I'm not feeling like I'll just say I've had a headache for the last 6 days or so, just because of the seasonal change and the barometric pressure change. I might set an intention in my dream journal to meet with the forces of nature and talk to them about, how they're affecting my head. And your intention can look like a lot of different things, but just making a statement that's that clear about, as you're going to sleep, that you intend to remember a dream, or that you intend to incubate a particular kind of problem solving. So is that clear?
Yeah. And also, like, for me, I set an intention before I go to sleep. My intention is to sleep well and be rested and wake up in the morning feeling energized and ready for my day and having a good day. And as I'm sleeping and dreaming, I'm releasing anything and everything that is no longer serving me. And I'm letting go of it, especially if there was something bothering me. I would say, let's just say I had an argument with someone, say, in my intention is to release the upset and come back to balance and peace and harmony with myself and that person, and back into the loving. And when I do that, it helps me dream about it. And like, I use my sleep and dream state to help me clear things that are not serving me, that are not good for me. Like, I do that most nights, and I wake up feeling really good and well, and ready for my day. So setting an intention before you go to sleep is really powerful. I've worked with a lot of people that say, oh, I don't dream. I'm like, you dream, you just don't remember your dreams because you are in a deep state of sleep. And when you wake up, you're not remembering. All of us dream. It's been scientifically proven, right? I did a lot of research on it, that all of us dream, but not everybody remembers their dreams. So you can also set, like you said, excuse me, set an intention saying, I'm going to remember my dream when I wake up. And the thing to do that you do right away, and we were taught this, before you do anything else, you pick up your journal and you start writing down your dream. Otherwise, you will forget it. If you wait till after, use the toilet, brush your teeth, get ready, then you're going to forget it. So if you really want to remember your dreams, you set an intention. My intention is to remember my dream when I wake up. And then you got to record it as soon as you wake up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think that's, step number one in the process is setting that intention and just being ready. Being ready might mean having a journal and a pen there. It might mean, if you don't want to write it down, you can use the recorder on your phone. And I've done that in a pinch, when I'm not at home. And that just might be easier for some people too. And in a way, there's a certain, we always say, take care of yourself, and you do have to have a healthy amount of sleep in order to dream well. And, what you were saying about, do people always dream or not, sometimes not dream? I think, like one of the torture methods is really, keeping people from sleeping, because we need to go through that state of processing. So when our sleep is interrupted or limited to the degree that we don't sleep, it actually can have like a psychotic effects on people, because it is so important that we work through our processes in this way. Whether or not we're aware we're doing it, we are all doing it. So another thing that you can do, sometimes people like to, and sometimes I do, go to bed with maybe a little bit of water, like in your belly, which ultimately, lands in your bladder and makes you have to get up. For some people, you may not want to get up in the middle of the night. But if you really have a hard time remembering your dreams, waking up in the REM state might be a way of having more accessibility to it versus going in and out of that deep sleep state and then into the REM state again. There's also just, if you ever have had a dream before, but like I said, maybe it's been a while, think about what kind of dreams that you have, even bringing awareness. Do you dream in color? Do you dream in black and white? When you dream, are you dreaming and it feels like real life where you're moving through a scene and things, other people you're engaging with, it's like you're looking through your own eyes? Or are you dreaming in a way that maybe you were aware or not even aware that you're maybe bilocated or even, more than that, tri or other multi-located. And what I mean by that is you're watching a scene like you're watching a movie, and you might actually see yourself as a character in the movie and experience what that dream self is experiencing, while at the same time, you're also a point of awareness that's watching that self. So you have like real two conscious vantage points in that dream. Just even having some awareness about how you dream, or when you wake up, recognizing those points of your dream will also just bring more consciousness and more awareness to your dream time. And then, as you said, Hadia, as you're waking up, if you don't have to move, like move as little as possible. Like if you're lying there in that hypnopompic state, try to recall, if you know that you dreamt, what that dream was about, and then go right to that journal or right to that recorder. And without thinking, it's the same way that we coach people, to write down about their day, or write down about, like if I were to live my best life, what that daydream life looks like, do the same thing without hesitation when you're journaling your nighttime dreams. Don't put too much thought into it. Let it be a free flowing stream of consciousness where you just, write and just spill it all out. And then when you're done with that, you can then go back and ask some more types of questions. The Gestalt can come in also when you're doing that free form writing or speaking into the recorder. That make sure that you're speaking in the first person. So you're not talking about your dream as in, well, I see myself and, like I'm in this room and so joins me. You actually want to write in the first person and in, the present state, that I am, and in action, so, I'm in a white room and, it seems familiar to me. And you might note later, it's not a room I've been to in real life. In your dream, it might be familiar to you. So I'm in a white room and it's familiar. It's not my house, but, Hadia is there, and Hadia says to me, that's putting yourself in the experience as if it's real and as if it's happening now. So that's what we mean when we say gestalting. And we can gestalt about our own experience, or as Hadia also said, and, one person I have done workshops with and read books from, and a lot of the questions that I use to go back and further vet my own dream, or even for 6 years, I've met with a group and we interpret our dreams together. We can also do Gestalt ourselves with all the different elements of the room. So I might say, you know, I am in a white room. I might also say, you know, I am the white room, and then ask a question of that room, you know, white room, you know, can you tell me about yourself? Well, I'm here. And actually, I have had many dreams lately where this is a theme for me, you know, that the walls are white. And just to give you a little bit more about, you know, some of my personal recent dreams, I've had all these episodes of losing or potentially having stolen my purse. And also, it evolved to where, and this happened over a number of mini dreams. And even though it's happening a lot lately, it didn't just begin lately. This is a recurring theme for me in dreams for a long time. And then in a more recent dream that feels like it's bringing a lot of these recurrences to conclusion. Not only, you know, in the past dreams had my purse been stolen, but in this particular dream, you know, all the furniture in my house was stolen, or at least it disappeared as well. And so in that particular dream, I was going down, you know, the hall, and I was walking into the living room before I discovered everything missing. And it only occurred to me in retrospect, you know, the walls of the hallway were all white. There was not a thing on them. When I got to the living room, the walls were all white, not even a pinhole where a painting had hung, or, you know, a dust bunny in the corner where furniture might have been. And for anyone who knows me, like, I never have white walls. Like, I always add color to my space. So the setting for me, if I were to say I am the white wall, or I am the white room, I'm showing you that this is a blank canvas. You know, I am representing a space where anything could happen. Whatever you want to dream next, whatever you choose to bring into the room next, everything is possible. And so that might be an explanation for me for a white room, and is what it was to me in those particular dreams. Because, you know, if you lose a purse, let's say, or somebody, you know, you perceive your furniture is stolen, you know, I said a moment earlier that it's going to have a different meaning for everybody. So, you know, or in the past, I even perceived that to be a bad thing. You know, I need my purse, my money's in it, my driver's license is in it. I'm at the place now where maybe in a Jungian way, I'm realizing, you know, there's an incongruent part of my ego that I've been letting go of. And so if I look at it in another way, my identification, you know, I thought it was what was in my purse, the card with my face on it and my address, you know, the credit I have in the world that allows me to buy dinner or shop online. And then to an even greater degree, you know, now not only is, like, you know, my identification gone, but everything in my house got like wiped out too. but I see it as a place of letting go of attachments to you know, certain parts of personality. And I see it as letting go to attachment of even the things in my home, my environment that I think represent me in some way. I'm really kind of stripping down in a way where that light white room and the clear walls feel like I'm entering to a space where I'm more clear and I'm more free. So that's a way that you can go into the dream and then gestalt with all the different parts, just in your own journal or your own recording. And it's also really fun to do in a group. For anybody who's sort of family constellations, some people work out incongruent family dynamics in that way. You know, if and I will make it up quickly. But in real life, if you have an issue with a parent, a brother, a sister, whatever the family dynamics are, there are therapists who will have a group, and people just are assigned to play a different role in the family. I have, played somebody's mother because I was just curious what this family dynamic stuff was or family constellation stuff was I was hearing about. So what that person did is they had questions and they asked me, questions they would ask their mother. And in a sense, I was role playing, but you could call it intuiting or channeling. It was very interesting information that came through. Now at a workshop, I did a similar thing called dream theater, where another person at the workshop had a dream, and the facilitator of the workshop did a gestalt with a group. And so the dreamer selected a number of people to play a part in her dream. I was selected to play some like a beautiful fairy kind of creature that came, but this person didn't know, can I trust the way that this person, or dream character fairy is showing up? Is it good for me, or is it hiding something? And so you can do that with every part of the dream. There was a train in her dream, and somebody else actually, played the role of the train and answered the questions about the train. So, there's endless ways you can play with Gestalt to do this alone or even with a collective group. But Robert Moss, whose workshop I was attending, and we did that dream theater, he has questions also to help further dissect your dream. So after you have, in whatever way, recorded it, you can, or let's say, even if you set the intention to have a dream and you woke up and you don't remember anything, you can ask yourself, with or without a dream, how did I feel when I woke up? And sometimes that'll at least give you a clue. Maybe I don't remember what I dreamt about, but I remember I felt agitated in my dream. Like as I mentioned, sometimes I feel like I've just been running all night long and I'm busy, and I wake up tired. So even without a dream memory, I might write down to answer my dream intention. I don't remember my dream, but I know that I felt agitated or busy and I woke unrested. And if I did remember my dream, I might say, I came out of this dream, where all my furniture had been stolen. And I was mad when I was having the dream because I thought somebody took something from me. But, the dream progressed in such a way, and in real life it did, because I'm engaged in a lucid dreaming practice, to wake up within the dream and know I can change the dream. So in the dream, I literally shifted my reality, and I completely rose above the circumstance of having a place or having furniture or worrying about where it went, because I went on to a much larger transformation where none of those little things mattered anymore. So I could say I was mad in the dream, but it evolved to a place where I felt free, where I felt liberated for not having any of those things, where I realized it was a gift. And you can also ask questions, and Robert Moss again coaches this. What in the dream was familiar? When I was kind of just making it up that I was in a white room with Hadia, I could say, well, Hadia is familiar. We've been friends forever. She's somebody I trust. I feel comfortable when I'm around, so she's familiar. We could also say, was there a sign or a symbol in the dream that you're curious about? So if I wanted to know more, and I didn't do a Gestalt, I could say, well, I hadn't yet done a Gestalt. I could say, I'm curious about the white walls. Where did everything go? Why was it white? Why hadn't I painted the walls like I do in real life? So there's all these other kinds of questions that can give you more insight. You can ask, is this a possible past experience or a possible future experience? Speaking of something prophetic, you had a dream that, maybe at the time you didn't know what it meant, but later it placed you, in Hawaii, and there was something you recognized about it. I've also had dreams at the time that I didn't really know what it was. And that's happened to me a lot before I've moved. I've been in a space, an apartment or, a place that I had yet to move into. And then in apartment hunting, I would walk in and open the door and see this long hallway, that I had dreamt about, and see the windows with all the light coming in, or the view that I had dreamt about. So we may not always know at the time, but then it's fun because when we not only talk about the dream, but we ask these questions and in some way are journaling it, I will often go back into my journals and think like, I know I recorded this, and look it up again. And then I literally can find, here's the dream where, like I dreamt the apartment that I'm now moving into. It's always amazing to be able to correlate the dream back to real life as well.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful when you connected. And, some people call that, oh, deja vu. It's like, oh, I've experienced this before. I've dreamt this scene. It's fun. So thank you.
I think the final little note I would plug there is also, like everything else in life, in any new practice, like give yourself the grace of the process. If you fail, if you don't have a dream you remember the first time, if you don't have a feeling, just keep doing it. It's another thing where you flex a muscle, and setting the intention or even writing down the smallest thing does make your practice go stronger with time.
Yeah. Practice. It is. It's like, if you want to do this, take it on as a practice of curiosity and be curious about what you're going to learn about yourself, and be curious about expanding your awareness about who you are, and how, like, recording your dreams also help you know why your life is happening the way it is, because our subconscious mind is constantly creating stuff, and most of us are not aware of it. So keeping a dream journal connects you also to your subconscious mind, and having connection and dialogue and awareness with your subconscious mind. And from that space, there's also conscious dreaming. Having dreams in the wake state. I call them an awake dream. So there was, when I wanted to live in Santa Monica, and I was like looking at apartments and none of them felt right. And I was sitting on my bed, and I went into this like alpha state. And then I saw myself in an apartment, and I didn't see like the apartment. I just saw light coming in and the feeling of the apartment, and then like big sliding doors. And I was like, I found my apartment. Like I came to present moment, because I was like in an awake state of dreaming. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to move. I'm going to find my home in Santa Monica. And when I went to see my apartment that I've been living in the last, 17, 18 years now, as soon as I walked in, I'm like, this is it. This is my home. I saw this in my awake state dreaming. And there was other people, there was like tons of people applying. And I'm like, nope, this is mine. So I went and signed in and filled out the app and all that, the application. And I knew it was my apartment and I got the apartment. So, because as soon as I walked in, the light, the feeling, like I had that, I was guided to it. So that happens to us a lot. And if we're not aware that we are also in a dream state while we're awake, we miss out. We get guided. Dreams guide us. I get guided with my dreams all the time. Not just with my apartment, like meeting people or going to USM is the school, University of Santa Monica, that Angela and I met at and went to. Like I knew I was going to that school. I didn't know the name of it, but I would dream about it in my awake state and the feeling of it and the learning. And I would talk about it and my friends would be like, well, where is it? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I know it's going to happen. And then when I heard about USM, a friend of mine was going there. I was like, this is it. This is the school I'm supposed to go to. And I called them then because a friend of mine called in the evening to talk to me. And we had this long conversation and I called them the next day and I'm like, okay, I'm signing up. Here's my credit card. And the signing up counselor, he was like, don't you want to come and see? And I was like, no, this is the school. And he kept saying, why don't you come and check out the school and let's talk. I'm like, no, here's my credit card. He goes, okay, we'll send you an application, $250. I'm like, fine. And he goes, well, we do not refund that money. And I'm like, you don't need to because I'm coming to the school. I was because I kept daydreaming about it. And I was so clear when it presented itself in my present life. So, and that's what dreaming helps you. It's a guide and it tells you what's coming through and trusting. So also dreams, awake state dreams and sleeping dreams help me trust that what I want is going to happen and it will manifest. The only thing that I haven't mastered yet is time and name and space. Like I never know what date or the name of the school or the name of the person. I'm like, how do I up level to that awakened consciousness of knowing, in 2022, I'm going to do this or that. I'm like, that would be cool because I'm working on it. So we also are actually always dreaming with our thoughts. Your thoughts are creating vibrations and energies in your life. So a lot of people are negative. I used to be negative in my 20s and I had to work at being positive. And it's exercise, practice. If you want to be fit, you go to the gym and work out, and then you work on your diet, and it's consistent practice. You don't just do it one time or for a month. So I invite you to practice if you want to connect to being guided by your dreams, either awake dreaming or in your sleep state. Practice, set an intention and practice and write things down, because it is really, to me, one of the easiest ways to be supported is by being conscious and aware of my dreams and my thoughts. So notice your thoughts, sit down and write your thoughts down. Your thoughts are in a dream state because a lot of your thoughts haven't manifested. A lot of your thoughts are trying to work out something you have gone through, a pain from your past, or you're living in future negative fantasy, future negative dreaming, or past negative dreaming. And you can shift that by creating the thoughts that you want. If you're a person, you call yourself stupid, oh, I'm so stupid, or I'm ugly, or I can't get this done. You got to shut that down. And one of the easiest ways, and you got to have compassion, we heal and grow through loving, compassion, gentleness, and sweetness. So if you call yourself stupid or a loser or not enough, and you go, oh, I'm a loser, I got to stop doing that. No, the way you do it is you say, thank you for sharing. And the truth is, I'm smart. And you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it. You just keep practicing till it becomes in your nature to know that you are smart. It's the same thing as going to the gym. You go work out, you're not going to see changes in the first day, the second day, even the first week. It takes time. But you know, if you consistently keep working out physically, going to the gym, a change will happen. So what you're initially doing is you're working out and faking it till you make it. You keep going and running, weightlifting, whatever exercising you're doing. And one day you'll look up in the mirror, you're like, oh, I do look different. I look amazing. And then you get on the scale, you have lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. And that's the same thing with having conscious awareness with your thoughts. In the beginning, you tell yourself, I'm stupid. You say, no, thank you for sharing. I'm smart. And your mind will come back and argue, no, you're not. You know, you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're not seeing results. But you know, and you trust that if you stay steadfast and consistently working out, the results will show up. So stay steadfast with shifting your negative thoughts about yourself, because in your thinking, you are dreaming, you are in that state of dream, and you're creating that. And then you're believing something about yourself that's not true. Because none of us are stupid or a loser or ugly. Every person on this planet is born beautiful, loving, kind, gentle, zestful, joyous, brilliant, smart, free. And then we forget because we get hurt. And hurt people. So remember who you are. Angela, will you pick it up? I need to cough, sorry.
Yeah, sure. So let's see, where should I go from there? A lot of what I have been basing my current dream practice on, in the ways I'm advancing it, I'm reading a book called The Real Toltec Prophecies. And it is, kind of that premise of the consciousness we create in our dreams becomes the life that we live. And we're kind of stating it the other way around, but I like their explanation. I think it's interesting that, that the Toltecs, the Aztecs, a lot of, the native peoples of North and South America, a lot of people who had communities that originated with mythologies of dream time and worked together in communities to dream, dreams together to incubate solutions for their communities, for healing, for various other reasons. Also have a different relationship in that they know how to go into these very loving and compassionate non-physical realities, let's say, of the dream time, and work with ancestors, or if we've talked about archetypes, there might be other kinds of helpers that join us there that can help us move past that kind of conditioning or those kinds of patterns. And then also, there's that work to be said about, they had to actually plant those seeds, and probably a lot of those original indigenous people were also really working the land. So, whether you're hunting and gathering or whatever it is, there's a real way of, in community, like being stewards of ourselves and being stewards of the earth and the elements. And in this way, there's a natural sense of connection that I think in this day and age, a lot of times is lacking. But the Toltecs talk about the dream time, like literally as a factory for your reality, and this time in particular, they talk about the, even the eclipses that were happening earlier this year, that sets the precedence for the time of the sixth sun. Like, in their prophecies, they say we are now birthing a new humanity and a new earth. And, we can see, whether you believe it or not, we can see a lot of structures coming down. And so what is there but to build up new structures? And, as I mentioned in my own dream, I'm losing old identifications, to create new identities. So, what healing might look like in that dream time is, setting the intention, if you are one who calls yourself stupid, to get past that. It could be calling in a helper into your dream time to support you with that. Because when we are experiencing these problems in our dreams, and, in meeting my own darkness and facing my own fears, my own worries, my own past insecurities, they often show up in dreams, like somebody's rejecting me or whatever the situation is. The dream, like life, is not something that's just happening to you that you can't do anything about. So become conscious in your waking state, become conscious in your sleeping state of the patterns, and then do something to change that pattern. Do something to become more masterful and take control of it. Again, the Toltecs say whatever happens in the dream time is the dream factory, comes out the other end and becomes reality. So, all the input, whatever is going in, if it's negativity and if you're always struggling and fighting and you think that there's, you have no control over the dream, you are waking up and into your next day, you're still bringing that, those incongruent parts. You're still bringing that fear, maybe even more of it, and that insecurity, and maybe even more of it. But if in dream time, you become more conscious, and I'll give an example, one of the things that used to also show up as a recurring dream for me was getting bit by little dogs. I had so many dreams and it never, like took my leg off. It never was a horrible thing. But there's always this little dog that would come and bite at me and take just that little flesh wound. And I recently had a dream. And I know that this is part of an evolution as I get more conscious into my dreams, as I'm more conscious about the brainwave and sleep stages I go through, as you can do this too in a lucid dreaming practice. Look for clues in your dream to remind you to wake up within your dream. It might be that you see something you're familiar with or not familiar with. That might be something you write down as an intention too, or even your hand will most likely always be with you if you're in human form or your own body in your dream. Look at your hand and realize, like, I'm awake in a dream. So I have my own ways in all these practices of waking up more and more in the dream. And in a recent dream, I said I went from losing purses to losing furniture. There's been other conclusions, like recurring dreams that have met a conclusion. So I was in this dream and I literally had set an intention when I went to bed to ask for a helper. And one showed up in my dream that spoke to me specifically about various problems I'm going through. Well, to me, these little dogs that bite me, they're little annoyances. They're small things that hurt and wound me. In this particular dream, a way that I took power over it is that I was with my teacher in the dream, and I woke up and realized within the dream that I was dreaming. And these little dogs, not one but two, start running across this yard for me, and it's still scary. No one wants to get bit, and even if it's somebody's little pet poodle, it's still having a wild, unpredictable moment. So that says to me something about the wild, unpredictable moments in my waking time, the little things that wound me, throw me off guard. In my dream, I just froze time. Like I looked to my teacher and, looked to the dogs, and I froze time. And the beautiful thing about, the dream time is we're not bound to, as you said before, space and time and some of the other things that challenge us when we're in our waking world and in a body. In a dream, we can stop something frozen in time. We can fly. We can do all kinds of amazing things. But this was literally me calling my power back over something that was fearful, small things. But we have so many patterns in our day that show up in archetypal form while we sleep. And sometimes the things that come to us during the day, like calling ourselves stupid, it might be something that someone else has done to us. It might be something that a mother or a father had their own problem with, and we're carrying that forward. Sometimes in our dreams, the things that show up, are also ancestral. Like, while it's beautiful because in a parallel universe kind of way, or in an indigenous practice kind of way, we might meet somebody who's departed in dream time and have a beautiful experience, or receive a lesson, from a dear friend that's departed that we can't talk to. Or maybe if it's happy, we can have a difficult dream, but there might be another time where in a dream you're with her and petting her and kissing her, and it's just as real life. Sometimes we also will have something in a dream that seems scary, or is, as I said, recurring over and over, and it seems out of our control. And then we might also wake up to an awareness in our waking life or in our dream that, and I've had some pretty, creepy dreams, and maybe we know children do too. A lot of children wake with nightmares, and what would put something so horrible in an innocent child's mind, or some of the things I dreamt that didn't really fit into my waking life. But some of the dreams that we bring forward, just like other things in our ancestry, our epigenealogy, may not belong to us at all. If we have a dream that we're being chased, maybe it's a car chase, because in modern times, cars are the vehicles or the things that we think of running us down. But, maybe we had an ancestor that, was chased by a lion or other wild animals. And that is carried over, or even knocked down and bitten. Maybe they had a fight with a wilder beast. This could be also why something like the yiping dogs or the car chase is showing up. And we can also say, this doesn't belong to me. This isn't mine. I'm not going to carry it forward anymore. And in whatever way you might do in the daytime, when it comes up, realize, I set an intention to not say I'm stupid, but to recognize times where I was smart and I had good ideas. We can also in our dreams incubate novel ideas. That's part of the amazing beauty, of dream time. A lot of people go there. I'm talking about changing a pattern. I made something freeze and I stopped something that was fearful. I took power and control over it, which still gives me a sense when I wake up that I have more power and control in my waking life, because I can stop and freeze a situation if I'm going to say something, unkind to myself or another, and realize what would be a way to call my power back or to give power to another. It's to change that language. Like I am brilliant. I have great ideas, but people also use their dreams to incubate ideas and often things that we can't come up with in lifetime. Steve Jobs did it. Einstein did it. Go into a dream with a problem and come out with an answer and a solution. Sometimes it's applied to technology or, theories of the cosmos, whatever it may be.
Yeah. And I love that you shared about being a good steward of your life. And I invite every person who's listening to this, be a good steward of your thoughts, of your mind, because our thoughts, they are like you are dreaming, awake dreaming, and they do eventually create your reality. And they create how you feel about yourself. And if you feel negative about yourself, you're creating negative reality. If you feel positive about yourself, you're creating a positive reality. So it's important to be a good steward of your life, of your mind and your feelings and your actions. Take good care of who you are. And we're going to wrap this up. In closing, I invite you to start having awareness how you dream when you are awake. What are you putting out there into your own reality? What is your mind telling you? Those are fantasies, and fantasies are dreams that you're having. So, and know that you can be in charge and shift your thoughts, shift your feelings. And I hope you take this practice on being aware of your sleep dreams as well. It's fun. It's fun to empower yourself and add more tools to your box to help you create the life that you want. So enjoy your dream life in your awake state and in your sleep state. Is there anything you would like to share in closing, beautiful Angela?
I would also just say, that there's a thought that people who have forgotten their dreams in the sense that they don't remember when they wake up what they slept during the night, or that they've never remembered their dreams. It's often said that if you don't remember your nighttime dreams, there's a part of you that may also have forgotten your dreams for life. So you really cannot bring more awareness to one without influencing the other. And we do always encourage you, in the waking world, to have your dream team. And we mean the people and the things in place to support you to be your best. And also to have in place more awareness around your nighttime dreams, because then that frees you up during the day to do some of that processing, to do some of that healing in a state that you really can play with and move through things. Because when we're not limited by time, when we're not limited by, our bodies, there is so many novel ideas that we can come up with, so many ways that we can find ourselves to be a hero. For anyone who's ever had that sensation of of flight in a dream and knowing that freedom, it doesn't go away when you wake up. You think something extraordinary happened last night, and becoming literate to your dream symbols, as Hadia shared, make you more aware of the signs in your waking life, like finding that apartment or finding the school that you're going to sign up for. So I also encourage you to, bring more awareness into your everyday and bring more awareness into your every night, so that we can live as more fully whole individuals and create a more whole society.
Yeah. And so I hope what you're getting out of this, that you can empower yourself with your dreams. And it is a powerful tool to use to connect with and have awareness. Either you're daydreaming and you're sleeping. And I love also you shared that, Angela. I want to thank you for your knowledge and expertise and your mastery around dreams, because it's really helpful and useful. And thank you for practicing. So, your knowledge is, you put it into practice, and that's a beautiful way to live life of integrity. You can literally write out what you want your life to be and read it over and over and visualize it, and then you can create it. But also, it's this or something better for the highest good of all concerned. And what you mentioned earlier about, you froze in your dream with the dogs coming at you and you stopped time. Like, we can do that in life. We can say, no, I don't want this. So you can keep space and create space for the things that you do want. I mean, I'm not saying we can stop time. We can say no to something that we don't want to happen in our lives. All right, you all, we're going to wrap this up because my throat can't take anymore. I need to rest it. As always, I love you. Angela loves you. We love you. Love is given. Love is given. And we forget because we get hurt, because we walk around with our pain instead of our loving. I invite you. I'm not saying ignore your pain. I'm not a person that would ever say avoid and ignore your pain. Address it, work with it, release it, clear it, and cleanse it. But make your life about who you truly are, which is loving. Walk in your loving for yourself, with yourself. And again, all of us are born loving, kind, beautiful, zestful, amazing, brilliant, smart, free. And we forget. Remember who you truly are. I love you, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.